Do you know how many strong people I know, myself included, who have stayed in relationships that have been abusive for them beyond the date of expiration? And it's been interesting to me because you think of people who are strong, who set good boundaries, who basically being able to set good boundaries means you're able to access the fight aspect of the four dimensions of self defense, right? Fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. So you're able to fight. Why is it that those of us who still have a good fight instinct, why do we stay in situations that are not good for us sometimes? And I've thought this through, and I think what's happened is that people who are good at fighting back sometimes have either been conditioned or conditioned or get conditioned in a particular situation to fight all the time. So they don't stop and think what the goal is and decide whether the goal has been achieved. The goal of fighting is to enact some kind of change. So if you set boundaries on somebody, the idea is, well, if I set boundaries, do they respect them? Do I feel better afterwards? But if we don't sit and assess that and instead we get used to getting on this loop of fighting and defending ourselves, then we're going to stay in a situation that's going to actually cause us damage in the long term. But there are other ways that fight can show up too. Fight can show up if we're fighting for the relationship. This where this comes up is where we'll set like a boundary and we'll say, look, this is good for us, it's good for our relationship. We need to spend more time together. Let's do this. Or, whatever. And the person maybe initially says, okay, I'll do it. And then maybe there's a change for a couple of hours for 1 or 2 days, and then it reverts back. So then we go and try to re-talk again and set boundaries again. The problem the problem is this. How long are we going to be setting boundaries? For how long are we going to do this? And look at this. Setting boundaries is a good thing. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you don't want to continuously do something over and over and then it doesn't work. At some point, some relationships we have to accept that they're not going to be working for us. And at that point, we have to decide whether we want to stay in the relationship or not. So, one of the recommendations that I read when I was going through my own experience that I thought was really helpful was give yourself a time frame. Like maybe you're going to give the relationship a month and you're going to decide whether in this month you see sustained change, or even give yourself 4 months, but don't have no limits at all, because otherwise you're going to find yourself 10 years later in the same relationship setting the same boundaries over and over and over. And at some point it's just beneficial for us to ask, is this how I want to live? Is this the kind of pattern I want to be repeating over and over? Is this going to be beneficial for my well-being in the long term? And if not, you have a decision to make.